Hi and welcome to another Excel tutorial. In this one we'll be looking at how to enter, format and calculate with time. Now I've got a simple example here of a staff rota for Fred's shop, including himself. He just wants to know what time people start, what time they finish, how many hours they've worked and how much he has to pay them. Fairly standard thing for any business really. When you enter time, there's a few rules to observe. Now, if I enter Fred's time as 9 AM, his start time, I could just type in 9 AM. But that wouldn't work as far as Excel's concerned. It wouldn't calculate with that because it's just a piece of text. So we need to enter it in such a way that Excel will deal with it as a number that it can calculate with. And to do that, instead of just typing 9 AM, we type 9 space A. It looks a bit similar, but the space bit is critical. Press enter. And Excel recognises that as a time entry. 9 AM. Now let's say Fred's finish time is 5:30. I can enter that by typing 5 for the hour, colon, type the minutes obviously, 30, spacebar, letter P, press enter. 5:30 PM. And again, if we go back to that cell and look in the formula bar, you will notice that Excel has formatted that in its own format, but in a 24-hour clock as opposed to a 12-hour clock. You can actually enter times in a 24-hour version if you want to, or a 12-hour version. Obviously, if you want a 12-hour clock, you need to indicate that by putting the A for AM and the P for PM. So in the next one down, I could simply type in 09:00 for 9 o'clock. And then I could type, say, 18:00 for 6 PM. And Excel's quite happy with that format as well. Now I'm going to reformat those so they're in the format that I want. So I'm going to select those two cells. And if you want to reformat time, what you do is obviously select the cells you want to change, go to Format, choose Cells. Now there are some built-in time formats, but I'm going to go to the Custom Settings again here. And there's one I'm particularly interested in, which is this one here, which has got the H for hours, colon, MM for minutes, and then it's got an AM, PM indicator. So if I click on that, click OK, that will then reformat those numbers to a 12-hour clock. And I'll just add in Jim's hours as well. So he comes in at 9:30 AM and he leaves, let's say, who knows? Well, let's say he goes at 5:30 as well. So 5:30 space P, press enter, 5:30 PM. The next step is to work out how many hours these people have worked, and I'm going to format these cells in advance. Okay, these three. So I'm going to select those cells, go to Format, choose Cells. I'm going to go to Custom Setting again, and I'm going to delete out that general, and I'm just going to type out double H for hours and double M for minutes. Okay, you can type a single H if you want, it doesn't matter. And click OK. So those are formatted ready for my calculation, and the calculation is very simple, similar to the date calculation. Type equals, obviously, click on the higher value, in other words the later time, and then subtract off the earlier time. And click on the little tick and we get 8.5 hours. Just that one more time, so press equals, click on the later time, minus, click on the earlier time, click on the little tick, and that tells me how many hours that person has worked. And this time, for the last one, I'll just copy that formula down. It tells me that Jim's worked 8 hours. Now the pay rates, I'm going to format this in advance. So I'm going to select those cells, go to Format Cells. This time choose Currency. No decimal places, keep the pound sign, click OK. And I'm going to put in there, let's say, 10 for Fred, 8 for Lisa, and 8 for Jim as well. Okay, and so we come to work out how much we should pay these people. Okay, let's say we do it as you might do it, without worrying too much about it. Equals number of hours they've worked, multiply by how much they earn per hour. Click on the little tick, and, well, that is not right, is it really? So I think Fred would be a little bit upset if you only paid him £13 for his 8.5 hours work. So something's gone wrong there, and I'm going to show you why it's gone wrong. If I go back to the hours, I'm going to go Format, Cells, And if I click on the general category, I'll click OK so you can see in more detail. What we actually have is a decimal value, and that is the time represented as a fraction of the day. So 8.5 hours is 0.35 of a 24-hour period. In other words, 1.00 will be 24 hours, and so on. So what we need to do when we do the calculation is allow for this fact that Excel stores times as a decimal value or a fraction, and multiply by 24 so we get a correct value. So by multiplying by 24 we actually get the 8.5 as opposed to the 0.354. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is return that format. I can just do that by clicking the undo button. Click in the pay box and do the calculation. So what I'm going to do is format these cells again as currency before we start. And here we go then. Right, so the calculation then is, as before, equals, open a bracket. You don't have to bracket this part of the calculation, but I think it's a good idea to do that. Helps you understand which parts are separated out. Click on the hours and then multiply by 24, close the bracket, and then multiply the result of that calculation by the pay rate. Click on the tick again and we get £85, which is now correct. Okay, do that one more time. And this time I won't use a bracket, just to show you it does work without as well if you want to do it that way. So equals, click on the hours, multiply by 24, and then multiply that by the rate of pay. Click on the tick. And I'm just going to copy that last one down again. And click away so you can see the results. So that really is how you enter, format, and do basic calculation with time. Remember, when you're dealing with time values, Excel stores them as a fraction, and you need to multiply out to get the correct value for calculating, especially when it comes to rates of pay. Otherwise you're going to upset some people with very low pay packets. Okay, I have another example, and this is to illustrate how to add times together. I'm just going to do a little bit of formatting here and select those column headings there and just center those. So what we have is some movies. We need to enter the start times and the duration of the trailers, the duration of the movie, add up those two, and then we need to work out the end time of the performance, which is going to be basically the start time plus the time it takes to watch the trailers of the movie. If that makes sense. So I'm going to enter my start time for these films, and I'm going to enter them as you saw before, like this. So nice and simple. Next one is 7:30 PM, 8 PM, and you can see the formatting we're adopting here, and simply typing the hour if it's a PM. In this case, it's actually going to be AM, and press the letter A, so it's 11 AM, and a final one, call it 6:30. Remember to use your colon to separate, as I didn't there, to separate the hours and minutes, and if you want to use a 24-hour clock, remember to use the P or the A for PM or AM. So those are my start times. Okay, so the trailers, well, the trailers are all running for 15 minutes. So to do that, I'm going to type 0 for hours, colon, 15 for minutes. Press enter. Now I need to copy that down, and to do that, put your mouse pointer over the bottom right as you would do normally. Hold down the control key and then drag down, and that will copy the 15-minute entry into each of those cells. Okay, so we go to the movie times now, and I've got these from Internet Movie Database, and I happen to know that Greece is 1 hour and 50 minutes. Okay, now if you don't want it to say 150, you can format it so it doesn't show the leading 0. I'm not too worried about that at the moment, but I'll format it anyway later on so we can fix that little bug. 2 hours 4 minutes for Jaws, 1 hour 59 minutes for Citizen Kane, 1 hour 41 for The Wizard of Oz, in case you ever wondered, and Singing in the Rain is 1 hour 43 minutes. Okay, so I will actually format these to remove that leading 0. So I'll select the cells, go Format Cells, and I go to my time option, and you can see it says HH at the moment. All I do is delete one of those H's and click OK, and that's a nice easy way of doing it. Right, so I need to add up my times now, and I'm going to select those cells first of all and format them. Go to Cells, go to Custom, and I'm going to do it as HH colon mm. So I'll have my leading 0 on the hours. I'm not too worried about that though. Okay, so calculation then. Click the cell where I want the result to appear, which is F7. Equals, and it doesn't matter which way around I go. Click on the first time, press add on the keyboard, click on the second time, click on the tick, and it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. Again, just double click to copy those times down. So we know the total duration of each performance now. And now we want to know the end time of the performance. Now again, I'm going to highlight these cells and format them before I actually do the calculation. If I go to custom, okay, this time I'm going to have it, well actually I'll find the setting I want in there because it's the hours with the AM and PM. There we go. So I've got H for hours, minutes, AM, PM, click OK. And this time I do equals, click on the start time and then add the duration and click on the tick. And it tells me that show ends at 10:05 PM. Do one more. Click equals, click on the start time, plus on the keyboard, click on the duration, click on the tick, and there we go. 9:49 PM is when the jaw show ends, and so on. Just drag those down to complete. So there we are. There's a couple of examples of how you enter, format and calculate with time. I hope you found that useful. You can apply it to your spreadsheets. There'll be lots more videos coming up, so stay tuned. Subscribe if you're interested in keeping up to date with what I'm doing, and thank you for watching, and see you next time.